We shall now start the program with a prayer by the temple priest, Sri Murali Bhattar. We request all of you to rise up from your seats and listen to the prayer. Thank you. The Board of Trustees, the Secretary, General Secretary of the Greater Chicago Vedic, the Hindu Temple of Greater Chicago, to come onto the stage and honor Sri Dushyanth Sridhar ji by garlanding.
Before I commence, I would do a mic check, and I'm sure there are some empty seats in the few rows followed by the second. So those of you who are at the back and who are sure you're going to stay till the end, please fill those seats, because in the middle lot of movement kind of affects my thought process. I don't have a prepared script. So I'm sure if you find some empty seats, please do ask them to fill those seats. Vaikunthe tu pare loke. Swami, somehow you just increase the feedback and then the volume also. Vaikunthe tu pare loke shriyasardham jagatpatihi aste Vishnu rachintyatma. It is at that threshold where if we increase a bit, there will be some noise. Vaikunthe tu pare loke. Reduce it a bit. Shriyasardham Shriyasardham jagatpatihi Shriyasardham jagatpatihi Aste. It's the sound is coming. Aste Vishnu rachintyatma. This is good. Bhaktaihi bhagavatai saha. Ramanuja Dayapatram Jnanavairagya Bhushanam Srimad Venkatanathāryam Vande Vedanta Deshikam Lakshminatha Samarambham Nathaya Munamadhyamam Asmad Acharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yo Nityam Achyuta Padambuja Yugma Rukma Vyamohata Staditarani Trinaya Mene Asmad Guror Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye Mata Pita Yuvatayastanaya Vibhutis Sarvam Yadeva Niyamena Madanvayanam Adyasya Kulapater Vakulabhiramam Srimad Tadangri Yugalam Pranamami Murdhna Bhutam Sarascha Mahadahvaya Bhattanatha Sri Bhaktisara Kulashekara Yogi Vahan Bhaktangri Renu Parakala Yatindra Mishran Srimad Parankushamunim Pranatosmi Nityam Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Vyasam Vasishtha Naptaram Shaktef Pautram Akalmasham Parasharatmajam Vande Shukatatam Taponidhim Vyasaya Vishnurupaya Vyasarupaya Vishnave Namo Vaiv Brahmanidhaye Vasishtaya Namo Namaha Achaturvadanor Brahmad Vibahur Aparoharihi Aphala Lochana Shambhu Bhagavan Badarayanaha Parasharya Vachasudham Sumanasaha Dugdhabdi Madhyodritam Samsaragni Vidipana Vyapagata Pranatma Sanjeevani Purvacharya Surakshitam Bahumatim Vyaghata Durasthitam Anitam Tu Nijaksharaihi Sumanasaha Bhauma Pibantvanvaham. निगमकल्पतरोर् गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रव संयुतं पिबत भागवत रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकाः भुवि भावुकाः। सान्द्रानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमिदं कालदेशावधिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनः उरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावत् भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्तभाग्यं जनानाम् अग्रे पश्यामि तेजो निबिडतरकला यावळी लोभनीयं पीयूषप्लावितोऽहं तदनु तदुतरे दिव्यकैशोरवेशम् तारुण्यारम्भरम्यं परमसुखरसास्वाद रोमाञ्चिताङ्गैः आवीतं नारदाद्यैः विलसदुपनिषत्सुन्दरी मण्डलैश्च बाहुद्वन्द्वेन रत्नोज्ज्वलवलयभृता शोणपाणिप्रवाळेनोपाता वेणुनाळीं प्रसृतनखमयूकाङ्गुलीं सङ्गशारां हृत्वा वक्त्रारविन्दे सुमधुरविकसद् रागमुद्भाव्यमानैः शब्दब्रह्मामृतैः त्वं शिशिरितभुवनैः सिञ्च सिञ्च मे कर्णवीथीं योगीन्द्राणां त्वदङ्गेष्वधिकसुमधुरं मुक्तिभाजां निवासो भक्तानां कामवर्ष द्युतरुकिसलयं नाथ ते पादमूलं नित्यं चित्तस्थितं मे पवनपुरपते कृष्णा कारुण्यसिन्धो कृष्णा कारुण्यसिन्धो हृत्वा निशेषतापान् प्रदिशतु परमानन्द सन्दोहलक्ष्मी अज्ञात्वा ते महत्त्वं यदिह निगदितं विश्वनाथ क्षमेतः स्तोत्रं चैतत् सहस्रोत्तरमधिकतरं त्वत्प्रसादाय भूयात् द्वेधा नारायणीयं श्रुतिषु च जनुषस्तुत्यता वर्णनेन स्फीतं लीलावतारैरिदमितकुरुताम् आयुरारोग्यसौख्यं जानकीकान्तस्मरणं गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं. By the abundant grace of Paramatma, the presiding deity of the temple, Sri Ram Parivar, we are on day 4, which is the Madhyama Bhagam of Srimad Bhagavatam, because we are done with 3 days and we have 3 more days to go. So this is the crest jewel of Srimad Bhagavatam. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we had understood the distinguishing features of this beautiful scripture. We understood the greatness of the one who uttered those verses, who narrated, who delineated. He was Shuka Brahman, the son of Vyasacharya, the grandson of Parashara, the great-grandson of Shakti, the great-great-grandson of Vasishtha. All the members of this renowned family gave enough material for we the Upanyasakas. Vasishtha is integral to Ramayanam, Parashara to Vishnu Puranam, Vedavyasa to Mahabharatam, Shuka Brahman to Bhagavatam. So we have Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavata, Vishnu Purana from the same family. So that is why whenever we speak of the greatness of Sahasranamam and we attribute its greatness to Vyasa, we give the lineage Vyasam, Vasishtha Naptaram, Shaktev Pautram, Parasharatmajam, Shukatatam. Great-grandson of Vasishtha, grandson of Shakti, son of Parashara, father to Shuka. So while I described Shuka, the great-grandfather will become the great-great-grandfather. I hope you can understand the lineage. So that's the greatness of the one who has uttered these verses and who has listened to it. It is Parikshit who has been the recipient of the Lord's grace while he was in the amniotic sac. The Lord protected him. What is the Vishayam? What is the content? It talks about the various pastimes and the incarnations of the Lord, which has been described by our rishis at various points in time. So Shuka has been able to put all of them together. As much as he composed, he also compiled them together. That's the greatness. Post that, we understood a part of the Srishti Kramam. We understood Varahavataram, Udhritasi Varahena Krishnena Shatabahuna. Vedam talks about Varahavataram. Now, we are generally told since our days of Shri Amarchitra Kathacharya. So, Amarchitra Katha tells, Matsya Kurma Varaha Nrisimha, so are the avatars. It is equivalent to the Lord coming as a fish, which is completely aquatic. Then comes the next avataram that can survive on land and in water, which is Kurmam. Next comes the avataram that can survive in the marshes, which is that of the wild boar. Then which is completely terrestrial, which is the lion. Then comes the human form where you see the Lilliput like Vamana. Then there is an uncivilized, uncouth avataram called as Parashurama. Then he becomes a lot civilized as Rama. Then very realistic as Krishna. And very tyrant as Kalki. This is what we have been told. And this is compared to another great Panchasamskara Acharya called Darwin. This is Darwin's theory, sir. It is imprudent on our parts to coax unwarrantedly science in religion. Just because we have our Vokeshwara, Vokanayaka, Vok at home, they will have every question. Why do we wear kacham like this? It is worn because people wore. You don't have to innovate and research on those things which are generally not that relevant to the Atma Shreyas. Well, if you want to come up with another way of wearing dhoti, come up with it. That's all. Why do we wear? Suddenly, for that, some person will say, there are 5 kachams. The first kacham is for Ajna Chakram. Second chakram is for Kundalini. All this is not required. See, we spend our time mostly on things which are not relevant. In that time, we can learn some shlokas. Why do we put bindi here? Because there is one pineal gland here. This is there. Oh my goodness. You put because some of your ancestors have put. If you want, you put. Even if you don't put, you won't be beheaded. This is that kind of a liberal civilization. Right? So, don't coax religion. At times, religion and science will beautifully meet. when they naturally, the word organic will get more bucks these days, right? So when they organically meet, there is a symbiotic relationship between the two, appreciate. If they are not meeting, trust and believe in both of them and appreciate both of them independently. So, unnecessarily coaxing. Why I am telling you this is Dashavataram did not happen in that order at all. Matsya Kurma Varaha, it didn't happen in that order. One of the earliest avatarams mentioned by our acharyas in the Puranam is called Padmanabha Avataram. So, from the Nabhi of the Lord came a Padma, Brahma was seated on it. That is believed to be the foremost of the avatarams as per the scriptural authority and validity of our scriptures. Then we had avatars like Varaha. Varaha was very early. Then subsequently came Nrisimha. After that came Kurma, because Bali was a part of the churning. Then came Vamana Trivikrama Avataram. So we should not bring that order. Then the moment we understand this order, then we'll say Darwin's theory is compared aquatic, amphibian, terrestrial. Even now, please understand, Darwin's is a theory. For example, some great Mahatma in 2025 proves Darwin's theory wrong. I'm just giving you an example. Then what will happen along with the fall of the Darwin's theory? Even the Dashavataram will go away. Because we are always linking both together. They are separate. Let's appreciate Darwin. He came up with it, let's appreciate. Don't bring both of them. Don't force them. One. And in avatars, there are many incarnations. The Lord doesn't choose a certain geography. He will not say, I'll be born only in Westmambalam in Chennai. Correct? He doesn't have preferences. He'll be born anywhere. Even now, trust me. Even now, there will be many avatarams of the Lord. Sambhavami yuge yuge, he says. For one yugam, there is no one avataram. He says, time and again I will be born. So he will be born even now. There will be one avatara in Scotland. We don't know. One avataram in Arabia. We may not know. One in Tasmania. Sir, if there are avatars, why aren't we knowing? Because we don't have great sages like Valmiki and Vyasa amidst us to tell that it is an avataram. See, when Rama was born, he didn't jump coming, I am an avataram, I am an avataram, I am an avataram. He didn't say. Valmiki pointed us to that particular person and says, see, he is giving moksham to Jatayu. None but Paramatma can give moksham. He is Rama. So we had a Valmiki and Vyasa, enlightened, and those individuals who internalized to point us out the avatars. Now we don't have. So avatars are plenty in number. And there is nothing called this set of avatarams. There will be another question. I told you, right? Why Balarama is there in some 10, in some 10 Krishna is there? Why? It is like top 10 songs in the iTunes. One season you will get Manege Mage Hite from Sri Lanka. Next week you may get some other song. So these are top 10 avatarams. That's all. It depends on the acharya what he or she chooses the top 10. So avatars are many in number. They don't follow Darwin's theory. They don't happen in the same order. And not necessarily these are the 10 only avatarams. Because Jayadeva says, Pralaya Payodhi Jale Keshava. He never says Krishna as an avataram. He says Krishna incarnated as Matsya. You're able to get the difference? So, Buddha avataram comes in Dashavataram. Daruna Buddha Kaliki Dashavidha Avatara Kshira Pane Daruna Buddha. So Buddha Avataram, though the Avatara did preach against the Vedic injunctions, is treated as an Avataram. In Sahasranamam we get Namas Ratna Nabha Sulochanaha Arko Vasajana Shringi Jayanta Sarva Vijjayi. These are all the Avatarams that talk about Buddha. Who is the Buddha? There are 5 Buddhas. The latest Buddha is the 5th century BCE Buddha called Gautama or Siddhartha. Even during the times of Rama in Ayodhya Kantam, there is a mention of Buddha in Valmiki Ramayana. So Buddhist thoughts have existed. Whoever professes and propagates a set of thoughts called Kshanikavadam were called Buddha. So Buddhas are many. There is not one. The latest Buddha is the 5th century BCE Buddha. And that Buddha, how is he described? Ratnanabha Sulochanaha. He has got beautiful eyes. Always a smile which can enamor people. He will have a huge tummy. And the navel will be like Ratnanabha Sulochanaha, Arkaha, Vasajanaha, Shringi. He will always carry a fan of peacock feathers. He will be tonsured. The description given by Buddha, by our ancestors, even by Ashwagosha, points us to that laughing Buddha. This gym body, Thai massage Buddha is our own creation. Original Buddha was stout. He had a tonsured head. Okay. But Buddha preached again. So, earlier Buddhism was a Nastika Matam. But now today many also do the Pradhana Shlokam to Dalai Lama. But still, this avatars are many in number. In those avatars, one of the avatarams revered by our Acharya is Gajendra Varada, the one who protected the elephant. The Lord doesn't choose only human beings. He is not the Lord only of human beings. He is the Lord of animals also. So that is when the elephant cried for help. Here, Vedanta Deshika does a detour at this point. I hope all of you in Chicago will appreciate this. When the Lord was called for help, Adi Moolame, you remember 840, I said this. Causeless cause. So the Lord immediately jumped from a serpent couch and went to the elephant which was crying for help. Now Vedanta Deshika uses this gap, interval. What he says is, when the Lord left, he didn't take his ayudhams along. He didn't say Shankam, Chakram, because he had no time. So the ayudhas did not know whether they have to go with the Lord or not. So they were all resting on the serpent couch. There is a serpent couch, Adisesha, Shankayudham, Chakrayudham, Gadayudham. They were all resting on Adisesha. While the Lord left in a hurry, he didn't even bother to take the ayudhams, nor did he dress up himself. Devi hastambujebhyas charanakisalaye samhritatyabhyapo hritya pratyasyananta bhogam jhatiti chalapute chakshushi vistritanaha. He had no time to get ready. So while he left, he did not even take his padukas. Who is paduka? Footwear. Footwear of the Lord is called paduka. He didn't even take paduka. In Samskrita Bhasha, in the language Sanskritam, the word is given a gender. Paduka, akarantavachaka shabdam. So it is a strilingam. So she is referred to as Paduka Devi. You know, your footwear also looks typically like a Samudrika Lakshana Shastra, Purusha or Stri. It is broad and then becomes thin in the middle and then goes back. So it's Paduka Devi. So Paduka Devi was also left. The Lord went in a hurry. So then believe that this incident happened in India. Why I am telling in India? Because there was a help in that house. Here we are the help, right? So it couldn't have technically happened in the US. It happened there in India. See, we all realize the greatness of Astikas of US on 24th March 2020. Modi ji came and said, Bhaiyon aur behnon, 21 din ab ghar mein hi raho. We didn't realize what we are up to. He said, okay, fine, 21 days, let's have a good time. Next day morning we realized, the first thing we realized was help did not come. Then we took that broom like Statue of Liberty and we started sweeping. I said, see, look at the dust that has accumulated. What is she sweeping? First day. Second day, that broom tilted at an degree of 1. Then 2, 3, 4. 21st day, we thought, okay, she may come. Modi ji again came and said, another 21 days. After the 21 days, when the help came, I did Sharanagati at her feet. Abhivadaye Angirasa Ambarisha Yavanasva Trayarshaye Pravaranvita Mate. Where have you gone? Bhagyada Lakshmi Barama. So there was a help in Vaikuntham. That help, while that person was sweeping Vaikuntham, that person took the pair of padukas and kept over Adisesha, because you're cleaning the floor. Now Adisesha, Shankam and Chakram, they had a conversation. Shankam, Chakram, Adisesha, because they felt humiliated to have the padukas alongside them. How dare the padukas come and sit with us? Shankam was talking to Chakram. Chakram and Shankam are looking at Adisesha. Adisesha says, I agree with both of you people. How dare padukas sit? So they looked down upon padukas. Paduka Devi felt a lot hurt. She felt suppressed. She said, I am the victim, you are the oppressor. She started shedding tears and padukas became wet. Now I told you the Lord had left to protect Gajendra. In a few minutes, as soon as he left, he realized that he didn't take the ayudhams nor the padukas. So he came back. And he took the padukas. Well, he fit his foot in the footwear. He found that the footwear was wet. Then he asked Paduka, why are you wet, ma? Paduka said, see, both Shankam and Chakram along with Adisesha, they are conspiring against me. They have spoken ill about me. That is when the Lord said, don't worry, at the opportune time I will take care of them. When Rama left to the forests, later Bharata realized that I cannot survive in the absence of Rama. So he comes to Chitrakutam, which was by the banks of river Mandakini, and he says, hey Rama, please come back to Ayodhya. Rama says, I cannot do that. 14 years I shall go to the forests and come. I have made a promise to my father. I need to fulfill that promise. Bharata, but till then you shall feel happy by taking my padukas. So he said, Lakshmana, go get those pair of padukas. Lakshmana got those pair of padukas on his head. How we will bring padukas? We will put them and come. Potunundru. Lakshmana kept those padukas on his head, and then Rama transferred those padukas to Bharata's head. And while walking in their sojourn to Ayodhya, Paduka Devi felt a lot sultry. So Shatrughna did the Chamara Kainkaryam. Vedanta Deshika asks why. Because when Paduka Devi cried due to humiliation by these three people, the Lord promised, don't worry, I shall find an opportune time to give it back to them. So Shankha, Chakramsha, Bharata and Shatrughna served Paduka Devi, while Adiseshamsha Lakshmana got it. So this was the way back. Says Vedanta Deshika. He has used a small 1 minute gap to bring about a beautiful natakam in Paduka Sahasra. Now, the Lord went. I told you yesterday, the elephant was crying for help. It is called Gajendra Stuti. Nama Atma Pradipaya Sakshine Paramatmane Namo Giram Viduraya Manasaschetasamapi Satvena Pratilambaya Naishkarmyena Vipaschita Namah Kaivalyanathaya Nirvana Sukha Samvide. Garuda said, this is my maximum speed, sir. If I go beyond this, I'll get ticket. So he went. There are cameras everywhere. See, when I went to Dubai and Abu Dhabi for lectures, Dubai and Abu Dhabi are pretty close. So one of my astikas took me in his vehicle from Dubai to Abu Dhabi. So the car used to race in certain places and then it used to go slowly all of a sudden. Then race, then slow. I didn't realize it was looking like life in itself, ups and downs. So why are you doing this? I asked. He said, I know where there are cameras. So here the Lord asked Garuda to go. The moment Garuda was trying to reach, they were very close to the Tatakam, the crime scene. The Lord stood from his Garuda Vahanam. He stood. How did he stand? See, if I am a Upanyasaka, I have to give a Uvamai, I have to give a description. How did he stand? Here you are all good. But in India, if you travel by the flight, the moment the flight lands, everyone will rise for Dharma Yuddham. They will all get up. Enga sir porel, yaranga pora, ellarum thane yaranga porom. There is only one door. They will all stand. Here you all have learned the art of, patiently waiting for the person sitting before you walk. But then they will all get. But I remember this was there inherited in me also, because when I used to travel from Chennai to Bangalore to my grandparents' place for my vacation, when it used to be after Bangarpet, we used to get Whitefield, we used to take all the luggage and go stand near the door. But in those days, invariably the train used to be placed in the outer for half an hour. You have to keep waiting with that luggage. So the Lord stood on Garuda. He was wanting to protect that elephant. See, this is called Vatsalyam. The unique attribute of a mother to protect her child. You may not even think this lady, she doesn't look so strong. When something happens, she senses a harm to that child, the mother will turn into another different avataram. You will see, you would have never seen that form in that mother before. The Lord has Vatsalyam, Annayai. He is the Bhakta Janavatsale Vithale Bhakta Janavatsale. Bhakta Janavatsalyam is in the Lord. He stood. He turned right. When he turned right, what should be here? Chakram. See, I'll give you one small one trivia here. In the Tamil language, when you stand in front of the Lord, it is a different scene. But we may not end up standing exactly opposite the Lord. We may either stand this side or this side. When Periyalvar stood this side, if I am the Lord, he stood here. To him, Chakram was close. Shankham was far. So he says, while singing praises of Panchajanyam, up Panchajanyamum Pallande, up Panchajanyam, because it is very far. When Vedanta Deshika sings praise of the Lord, he was standing here. So the Shankham was very close to him. Chakram was very far. So he says, Attigiri. Attigiri Arulala Perumal Vandar. See, Attigiri in Tamil can be split in many ways. Attigiri. Tigiri is Chakram. Attigiri. Or Attigiri. Atti is the fig tree, the Lord who is made of fig wood. Or Hastigiri, which is Attigiri. So here where the Lord looked, right, the Chakram was missing. He thought, oh my goodness, I have forgotten Chakram at home. By the time he looked down, the Chakram had done its job of releasing the elephant's foot from the jaws of the crocodile. Why did the Chakram go even before he commanded? This is called as Sankalpa Shakti, the divine will of the Almighty. Because we often think creation, whenever we speak of creation of the world, must have happened the way we cook. We take some tamarind paste, we take one tomato and then cut them into pieces, put them together, let them boil. So this is the way we think creation has happened. No. The creation that we see on this world, let it be the snowy, Smoky Mountains, Appalachians, Rocky Mountains, all of this, the Lord did not take some stones, sand, put them together. He said, as per Sanatana Dharma, he says, let the world be many. The moment he thinks, the creation happens. See, we physically do, he thinks. This thinking power and then execution is called as divine will or Sankalpa Shakti. The Sankalpa Shakti of the Lord in Agamam is called Saudarshanam. So since Saudarshanam is his divine will, the one who executes the divine will is called Sudarshana. So Sudarshana is the divine will of the Lord. He doesn't have to say do this, because if he thinks, it will be done. He doesn't have to utter. See, this is an example which time and again my Acharya used to give me, but I am not bored of telling this to you again. Imagine there is a situation where I am in a condo, 2 floors high, there is no elevator, you have to climb like 60-70 steps to reach my house. It is on a new moon day, Amavasya Ratri, no source of power, the power is gone, there is no power in my phone also, absolutely no source of light to come. But since I've been living in this house in the 2nd floor of that apartment for like say many years together, I know that there are 10 steps in every level. So as I keep walking in the absence of light, I still can walk up the stairs and reach my house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And after 10th step, I know there is no step and I just walk into my house straight. Imagine one day I've been very benevolent enough to invite the Lord home. I say, please visit my house, sir. And the Lord says, well, you have given me an invitation, I shall come with you. Imagine he also walks with me on the Amavasya Ratri, no source of light. He is coming for the first time. I know there are 10 steps, I won't make a mistake. But the Lord won't know that there are 10 steps. So after the 9th, after the 10th, he thinks there is 11th step and keeps his foot. Say, I don't know whether you've all had this experience. In the absence of light, you take steps. Then later you will realize, oh, when your foot hits hard on the floor, you will realize there is no step. Imagine the Lord too thinks there is the 11th step, but his foot won't hit hard on the floor because by then the 11th step would have come. Because he thinks there is the 11th step. If he thinks that step has to come. So this divine will of the Lord is called Saudarshanam. That is why Sudarshana went and did his job. Now Sudarshana has to do the job right. Execution should also be very good, seamless. It should not end up cutting the elephant's foot. So it cut at the right position. So the elephant was holding that lotus. You remember yesterday the elephant did not take that lotus to do archana to the Lord. He just took that flower as a style statement. It had to do. Just like that it took. But now by the time it was holding and then all the tragedy happened, it got crushed. Now the Lord who came, after having saved the elephant, takes the lotus and holds it and says, for this, giving this flower to me, did you have to undergo so much of pain? The elephant would have thought, no, I didn't mean to give it to you. But that is called Vatsalyam. See, the Lord assumes, like Ajamilopakhyanam, even if you don't mean to, he will assume you have done. See, a person who was chasing a cow and the cow went around the temple, the person too continued going around the cow and around the temple. When he was asked, what punyam you have done? The Lord said, no, you have gone around the temple. Sir, you have mistaken. I didn't go around the temple to go around you. I was actually going around the cow. No, but I know you had this intent to go around me, so you have gone around. So that is Vatsalya. When I first told my mother that I want to cook, she was shocked. Because she knew I never knew cooking. And second of all, she knew if I had to cook, the product she has to consume. She was concerned about her survival rate. So she said, what are you going to make? I said, rasam. There is a technical word in Tamil, Shatru Amudu. It is an elixir if you make it well. So, the moment I told my mother I'm going to make rasam, she said okay. She went in, she just said come after 10 minutes. She went into the kitchen. She kept the mustard seeds, the jeera in a small cup, some asafoetida, which is, what is that, hing, then some curry leaves, the rasam powder, little salt. She would know there is a technical vessel to make shatramudu. What is it called? Iyachombu. Oh, it's very tasty if you make. But she didn't want to risk with that, because that patram alone, if you keep it on the stove without anything, Vadakunada sarvam tarum natha, it will become one beautiful lingam. So she kept a normal vessel from Ratna stores. She kept that. Then she made the tamarind paste. She cut the tomato into small pieces. And she also kept the recipe book. Put this first, add this first, temper it, do this, everything. Everything was ready. The recipe was ready. The ingredients were ready. Then she said, you may come and make. Raja Adi Raja, Raja Martanda, Raja Gambhira, Raja Kulotunga, Laka Laka Laka. I went inside. And then brought all these ingredients together. Those of you who follow recipes, you know, certain recipes you should get the boil in the middle and certain towards the end. It is called Nadu Kodi. So all this I did. By the time I lifted the vessel, most of the rasam fell on the floor. Maybe that was worth going to the floor only, I don't know. Then my mother came running. Oh my goodness, what have you done, Dakanna? Then she took that little rasam, put that into that rice, put it into her mouth. It is very tasty. Whether it was tasty or not, she knew that I took the effort to make that. That is Vatsalyam. So the Lord, He took that flower and kept it in His hand. While composing the quintessence of Bhagavatam called Narayaniyam, Dikshitar would ask this question. It seems Bhattadri asked the Lord, hey Krishna, I was always doubting why would you have a lotus flower in your hand in Guruvayur. Then he asked, hey Krishna, is this the lotus that was gifted by the elephant that day? It seems the Moola Vigraham of the Lord nodded slightly and said yes. But I'm sure there is a way of nodding in the US, right? They always have a problem with the Indian way of nodding. Whether it is this, whether it is this, or whether it is this. So whatever is the affirmative way of nodding, the Lord nodded that way. Gaj ko jab grah graso dushasan chir graso sabha beech Krishna Krishna Draupadi pukari itne mein hari aa gaye sab an chhod gaye Surdas pare kalo, says Surdas. So in this avataram, chakra played an important role. Around 900 years back, there was a great devotee called Kuranarayana Jiya. In Srirangam, he composed over 100 verses on the greatness of Sudarshana Chakram. So it is said that if you listen to these verses, there won't be any depression. So I'll read out one verse for all our sake, so that, you know, even with the absence of vitamin D, we will all stay strong. Jwala chudala kala nala chalana samadambara samparayam yasa vasadhyamadyat sura surabhata bhuja spota kola haladhyam daityaranyam dahanti virachayati yasho bhuti shubhram dharitrim savat chakrasya nakrasya damridita gajatragini nabhiravyat. He says, savat chakrasya nakrasya Krasyada mridita gajatrayini, that chakram which came and protected the gaja from the nakra, from the crocodile. This is the beautiful charitram of Gajendra Moksham. Next comes Kurma Avatar. There was this rishi called Durvasa. His name was Durvasa. Why? You can never do vasam with him. You can never live with him. He will get angry for small things. Durvasa. Na vaso api durvasa. You can never stay. Sahavasam api durvasa. Na sahavasam. You can never stay with him. He was called Durvasa. There are many Durvasas even now. When they say, Engatu Durvasa Rundurtu paru. So Durvasa will get angry. Now this Durvasa, Bhattatri gives him a beautiful name. You know what he says in Ambarisha Charitram? Pararti Shilaha. He says, who's Durvasa? Para Arti Shilaha. Arti in Sanskritam means trouble, distress. Para Arti Shilaha, the one who used to take pleasure in giving pain to others, is called as Durvasa. So his name was Pararti Shila. This is the technical word called sadism, right? So this Durvasa, while he was coming, he saw one Vidyadhara Stri who was having a beautiful garland. She gave this to Durvasa. The moment she saw Durvasa, she wanted to impress upon him. She gave the mala to him. Whom was she gifted the mala by? Mahalakshmi Devi. So she said, this is Mahalakshmi Prasadam. I am going to give this Prasadam to you, Durvasa. Why? See, when we go to a temple, however enlightened we are, we show that human nature. When one of our other friend devotees is being given a mala by the priest, some corner of our heart we will feel, you wish even I had that mala. That's a human nature. If we have risen above that, we must be the 13th or the 14th Alvar. That is a different thing. But as primitive mortals, we have that feeling, enakanda mala kadekappada. So we will have that mala. But the problem begins the moment the priest puts that garland to us, the next second, where to keep that mala. In the old temples of Bharatam, you will have many holes. In the temple, slowly you can do pradakshinam when nobody is seeing, you can quietly put there and come. Here in Lemont temple, many cameras are there. What to do? You have to carry that mala, put it to your Benz car, Tesla car, then that Musk melana or Elon Musk. So Elon Musk will have it. So he will have that mala. So this Vidyadhara Stri who got that mala gave it to Durvasa. Now Durvasa doesn't have his own place of residence. He could not get Aadhaar card in India even after being in Bengal. So what he did was he took that mala and he waited for a place whom to give it to. He saw Indra coming by on Airavatam. Durvasa Suravani Tapta Divyamalyam Shakraya Swayam Upadaya Tatra Bhuyaha Nagendra Pratimridite Shashapa Shakram Kakshantistvadidateva Devatamsha Janam Itara Devatamsha Janam. So this mala was given to Indra. Indra was seated on his elephant called the Airavatam. So the mala was gifted to Indra through the trunk of Airavatam. Airavatam took that mala and placed it on its head. See, generally when I come, I tell all my organizers, I told GC Vedic and Lemont Temple, whichever organizer, please don't give me heavy malas. Because all the organizers, their love will be directly proportional to the thickness of the mala. PV is equal to RT. They will show all the Boyle's law that they have learned there. So that mala will be so thick. And it will be natural flowers. Angam harehe pulaka bhushanama ashrayanti. Bees will start hovering around. I don't want to be the Karna of Mahabharata to be stung by the bee. So many malas will also have flowers that prick. So this elephant couldn't withstand the heaviness of the mala. It did this and that, and the mala fell onto the floor, and that elephant trampled on that mala in the presence of Durvasa. That's a prosperity that you have. That sheer arrogance that makes you do all such things, Indra. May you lose the prosperity. May this world be bereft of prosperity. The moment he said that, all the money he had put in SVB, they all came, stocks came down. So everything, her big parampara, Kanakavalli became Shungdi. So all the level came down. So the creepers of Kalpalatika in their background, they all started withering. The milk giving very prosperous cow Kamadhenu went running away into the woods. Chintamani, the ethnic stone placed in their front yard, went missing. So they lost, even Lord Shiva's Chandra lost its shine. Everything was lost. That is when they all go to the presence of the Lord in Vaikuntham 2.0. You remember day 1 at about 7:45. I spoke about Vaikuntham 1.0 and 2.0. I said 2.0 is very important for day 4 and day 7 when I deal with Santana Gopala Charitram. Vaikuntham 2.0 is called very good. Karya Vaikuntham. Poi revise panano. See, that is the difference between coming to a concert and an upanyasam. Concert musicians, poor thing, you know, they won't ask. They are all very nice to deal with. Upanyasakas are very tough. That is why we are rarely called. So, Shapena Prathijaretha Nirjarendre Deveshwapya Surajiteshu Nishprabheshu Sharvadhyaha Kamala Jametya Sarvadeva Nirvana Prabhava Samam Bhavantamapuhu. They started praising the Lord. The Lord said the only way to get back or revive the prosperity that you have is to churn the ocean. See, this churning can be understood in two ways. The entire set of Southeast Asian countries, you begin from South China to Vietnam, Laos, Kambuja Desham, which is Cambodia, and Thailand. They all have a lot of narrations about Kurmavataram. If you go there, airport will have Kurmavataram. The eastern wall of Angkor Wat, Paramavishnu Loka temple in Siam Reap in Cambodia will have a 216 feet panel of Kurmavataram of the 13th century. Why? Because in Kambuja Desham, when Siam Reap river flows, at one point in time it meanders and gets into a lake and then it starts churning. So the people see the churning in front of them and associate it with Puranam. There is another way of looking at it. There is this Toba Lake, which is a part of the archipelago nation of Indonesia. This Toba Lake happened after the Toba catastrophical volcanic eruption. So it is believed that the South Pole is like Kurma and you have a crust, mantle and core, like the Ferrero Rocher layers. You have these layers, right? The second layer will get churned. That is why you have the tectonic plates moving. When they churn, because the northern part is assumed to be the Meru Parvatam, that is why we say Meroho Dakshine Parshve. So when we keep that churning process on, in certain places the volcanic eruptions happen. When volcanic eruptions happen, a large part of the metals that you wish to mine come to the surface. That is why Indonesia, which has a lot of volcanic activity, you don't have to mine a lot. A lot of the elements, even gold mines, silver mines will be available at the superficial layers itself. Because it is said that Kurmavataram should be seen as a cosmic activity as well. Now let's get back. Now the Devas and the Asuras, they formed a coalition. When you don't get full numbers, you will have to make coalition with unequal partners. So they said, let's start churning. For the churning, they needed a rod. They took Mandara Parvatam as the rod and Vasuki as the churning rope. Even a Jaina poet called as Ilanko, in one of the works in Tamil called as Silappadigaram, the anklet story, talks about this. Vadavarayai mattaki vasukiyai nanaki kadal vannan pandorunal kadal vaira kalakinaye. Vadavarayai mattaki vasukiyai nanaki. They started churning. What emerged first? First, the layers of water saw some kind of a fluid getting accumulated. The fumes of it were very tough for people to breathe. It was a poison called Kalakutam, Halahalam. Garalam taralanaram purasta jaladehe ujvigagala kalakutam amarastuti vada moda nignaha. While the poison was causing so much of problems, they all did namaskarams to Lord Shiva, Mahadeva. Who but Mahadeva, the most merciful of all, can come and save? So he came. He took that poison and did Achyutaya Namaha, Anantaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha. It is called Achamanam. And while he started consuming, a folklore suggests that Parvati Devi got worried. Ivar edukkinna idellam poi saapparar. Vera yaaraadu saatuttu pora. Ivar yen idellam pandrar? Somebody else will do. So Parvati Devi came running and held his throat. One poet asks, already poison is going inside. She chokes it from outside. So the poison stood here. But the composer Adi Shankara says, Shiva survived because of the greatness of Parvati's earrings. Garalam yatkshvelam kabalitavata kalakalana na shambhostan moolam tava janani tatanka mahima. Tava janani tatanka mahima. So he is called Neelagriva. Neelagriva vilohitaya drape andhasaspate daridran neelalohita, says Sri Rudram. Then after that, but Bhattadri says, Bhavat Priyartham, because Lord Shiva and Krishna are neighbors in Guruvayur. So one neighbor wanted to impress upon the other. So Shiva consumed poison to impress upon Krishna, it seems. Bhavat Priyartham. So as soon as he consumed, then everything, whatever they had lost, they got Kamadhenu, Uchaishravas, Airavatam, Kalpaka Vriksham, all of it came. Finally, even Chandra got his sheen back. Then came Mahalakshmi. Lakshmim Kshira Samudra Rajatanayam Shri Rangadhameshwarim Dasi Bhuta Samasta Deva Vanitam Lokaika Deepankuram Shri Manmanta Kataksha Labda Vibhavad Brahmendra Gangadharam Tvam Trailokya Kutumbinim Sarasijam Vande Mukunda Priyam. Why did she come? Because of the efforts the Lord took. See, in generally, even in a movie, if the heroine is caught, the hero has to run, get 1 or 2 bullets, fall, tumble, blood has to come, and finally he has to say, Anita! Then Anita will look down. So, how did the Lord come? Why was Mahalakshmi impressed? Because when the mountain was about to sink, that time they all did stuti to the Lord, and the Lord came as Kurma. But Vedanta Deshika, the great poet, he has his own way of describing. He says, the Lord wanted to scratch his back. See, scratching one's back is a good pastime. You try it out. Scratching. And if we have somebody to do it, it is good. But if you don't have, so to scratch and all we have to do. So the Lord said, okay, I need to get my back scratched. So to get the back scratched, he thought the best avataram is to take as a form of a tortoise and that turtle. So it has got those nerve end shell. So when someone keeps rubbing, it feels good. So when the mountain was placed on Kurma, can't do things from one place to the other. I can't take Badriji. Will you marry Ram of Ayodhya now that Ayodhya is peaceful waiting? That is when Mahalakshmi says, see, Rama's Dharmapatni Sita. If another even desired to propose to Rama, we know what happened to Shurpanakha. I don't want Shurpanakha's position. Let him live happily with Sita. Ayodhya bhi nahi chahiye. Will you marry Dwarakadish Srinath ji? Good choice, Pitaji, but he keeps eating. If you go to Navadwaraka, Dakur, Porbandar, Dwarakadish, Rukmini Dwaraka, Bed Dwaraka, Nath Dwaraka, Kankroli, wherever you go, every half an hour, 45 minutes, they'll draw the screen. क्या हो रहा है? 56 भोग. अरे भाई अभी ही खाए थे, खाते ही रहेंगे. I can't marry this glutton, always he's eating. Will you marry Jagannatha Swami of Puri? Jagannatha Kshetram. She said, he looks good, but the unmarried sister-in-law is their home. Yaar, who will coexist with the Nathanath? She should be married and should have gone out of the house. So, I cannot marry. Will you marry Vitthal of Pandarpur? Rupa pahata lotsani sukha jale wo sajani toha Vitthal barwa toha Madhava barwa toha Vitthal barwa toha Madhava barwa toha Vitthal barwa toha Madhava barwa Vitthal Madhava Madhava. With the way he stands, he's captivating. My dear girl Lakshmi, will you marry Vitthal? He looks good, appa, but the only thing is Vitthal means the one who stands on one brick. Idenga veedu kattum otta shengalla nikkaradu. So, will you marry Srinivasa Swami, richest man, Forbes first 100 he comes. He leads the country yet has paid his taxes. Will you marry Srinivasa Swami of Tirumala Tirupati? Good choice, Pitaji. He's very well dressed. The only thing is, as a wife, to meet him, I have to buy the VIP ticket. To meet one's own husband, I have to go stand in the queue. I don't want such problems. Will you marry Guruvayurappan? Alle, nande Guruvayuralla. Good Pitaji, I am 4 feet, he is 1 foot. Erakore nanna avara madila vechi kootun ponom. He's not a Complan boy. So, then whom will you marry? Pitaji, continue, give me few more options. Ranganatha? I want to marry Sri Ranganatha of Sri Rangam. Will you love Sri Ranganatha? Yes. Will you be able to adjust with Sri Rangam people? Lakshmim Kshira Samudra Rajatanayam Sri Rangadhamishwarim. Look at the shlokam. Lakshmim Kshira Samudra Rajatanayam Sri Rangadhamishwarim Dasi Bhuta Samasta Deva Vanitam Lokaika Deepankuram Shrimanmanta Kataksha Labda Vibhavat Brahmendra Gangadharam Tvam Trailokya Kutumbinim Sarasijam Vande Mukunda Priyam. You know, this scenario has been beautifully put by our great Purandaradasa in the form of a Sahityam. Kshirabdhi kannige Shri Mahalakshmi Yarige Vadhuva Guve. So he gives a list of all those places. Will you marry him? Will you marry him? This is called Swayamvaram. See, Sanatana Dharma technically gave so much of importance to the lady's choice. Many men used to come and then she could choose. But then over a period of time, men revolted. You just imagine their position. Media will be standing outside. Then every time that boy's Jatakam goes, and the Izirati Jayashri irkale, avu ponnu vendan sollita. Moonavadhu thalli and the Pangana irkale, avu ponnu vendan sollita. So it will be called answer by rejection method. You know, in multiple choice questions, there are 2 ways of answering. If you know the answer to the question, you tick, or you have to tell this cannot be the answer, this cannot be the answer, this cannot be the answer, so this must be the answer. Then every now and then he will be told, So, Swayamvaram was later, men revolted and said, no, this is not the right way to go. We all we feel a lot humiliated, and then things changed. Now, this Kurma Avataram shows how prosperity was gained. Now, the Asuras gained that prosperity to a very, very high level. See, this is where Vamana Avataram begins. Bali was the grandson of Prahlada, great-grandson of Hiranyakashipu. Being the grandson of Prahlada, he had that bhakti. Being the great-grandson of Hiranyakashipu, he is like Kadavul Padi, Mrugam Padi, Kalandu Seida. He was like the Alvar of Alvar Pette. So, what wealth he had seized was not through legal means. He had seized. But it was very much staying with Bali because there was one advantage to Bali. He had great Guru Bhakti. Extremely attached to his Acharya, Shukra. So if one has Shukra's grace, even in Jatakam, it is called Shukra Dasha. When Shukra Dasha comes, even if you have the Saturn, 7.5 Saturn during Shukra Dasha, Saturn cannot show much of his traits. Because Shukra Navamsha Shashtyeka, it's a beautiful kriti. You should listen to Sri Shukra Bhagavatham by Muthuswami Dikshitar. Shri Shukra Bhagavatham. There he says, Navamsha Shashtyeka. What all grace you will have because of Shukra. If your Shukra is in a very good position in a Jatakam, that person will have very good interest in arts, fine arts, poetry. They will have that artistic eye, finesse when whatever they do. That is Shukra's greatness. So Shukra, granted, his grace was always there on Bali. So it became a very tough situation for Indra to gain that lost wealth. But in the war that ensued, Bali was in the verge of death. That is when Shukracharya used a yagam, performed a yagam and gave Sanjeevani mantram and revived Bali. Shakrena sanyati hatopi balir mahatma Shukrena jivita tanuhu kratu vardhitoshma Vikrantiman bhayanilina suram trilokim Chakre vashe satava chakra mukhada bhitaha. That is when Indra asked his guru Brihaspati, Tarapate. Brihaspati is Tara's husband. Brihaspati has one. See, this Navagraham itself is a great topic to deal with. Brihaspati is the Guru Sthanam for the Devas. Guru is akin to Brihaspati in Indra's way of looking at things. Brihaspati had a wife called Tara. Brihaspati Tarapate. But while Brihaspati had gone for some Purohitam for 3 days somewhere, Chandra, Soma comes and knocks at the door. Tara opens the door. Now they fall in love. Brihaspati's wife, sir, this is Puranam, sir. See, that is why you should appreciate Sanatana Dharma. I'll tell you. If Valmiki had ever thought, while he was compiling the biography of Rama, and that biography was sung in the presence of Rama by his very own children. Now Rama could have said, Valmiki ji idhar आइए, वो जो वाली बध है ना, उसको थोड़ा सा उस चैप्टर को निकाल दीजिए. वो जो अग्नि परीक्षा है, उसको भी निकाल दीजिए. जो चाहिए मैं आपको वो ट्रांसफर कर दूँ. He could have done that, right? See, somebody, if you read the biography of certain people, they will write only good things. Rama could have done that. He didn't do that. He said whatever has happened should be presented as is. You should be an honest journalist. Because honesty and journalism have become oxymorons. They can't coexist. But you have to report as is. That is why Ramayanam is treated with so much of respect. It exactly records what happened in Rama's life. Otherwise, if Rama had the power or Acharyas had the power, even before ChatGPT came into picture, it could have been removed. See, 1,000 years before they had the manuscript, they could have taken away one slip out of it. All these controversies, now everybody goes to Korah. Korah? Tell me, Korah. Why did Rama send pregnant Sita to forest? There will be one question. And some person who has never touched Ramayana will answer. All this Valmiki could have avoided, but why didn't he do? Because they wanted to report things as is. That is their greatness. Same is the case with Shuka Brahma. He describes this story, what I am telling you of Brihaspati, comes in Bhagavatam. Generally, many Upanyasakas will not tell this. Because if they tell, then people will think, the law poi Puranathile. So they will avoid certain portions. But I am made of a different material. I believe whether the audience like it or not, I have to present the Grantham as is. When Rama was told, Rama, you will be the heir apparent, Rajakumara. Rama said, sure, father. You have heard of this? Then the next day he was called and told, Rama, you will be going to the forest for 14 years. What did Rama say? Okay, father. We have heard of this, correct? Pitruvakya Paripalana Ram Saguna Brahma Parat Pararam. We all sing. Sundara Dasharatha Nandana Rama. How he listened to his father, we all sing. Very calm, seasoned. That poise, that finesse, everything is there in Rama. Correct? Let's see what Valmiki does to him. In Aranya Kandam, when they enter the forest, a demon who has grown up in the forest called as Viradha, he comes and kidnaps Sita. Sita goes running, Ram, 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 Lakshman, Lakshman. This Viradha is carrying Sita. Now Rama and Lakshmana run behind Viradha. Viradha, drop Sita, please don't take her. They shout. You see this, you can even now fact check me. In Aranyakandam, while she is being abducted, Rama turns to Lakshmana and says, look at our state, Lakshmana. Sita is being carried. Let my mother Kaikeyi be happy now looking at my state. There is a shlokam in Aranyakandam. But Upanyasakas will not tell. Because there is an image for Rama. By telling this, we will slowly. But my point is, when the Lord chooses to be a human, He has to behave like a human. Whenever we are in a problem, we will always wait whom to throw the blame on. That is human mentality, right? That is the honesty of Valmiki and Vyasa. We should worship them for that. So this Chandra comes and knocks at the door. Tara opens. Enna parvai undan parvai. Now eventually she turns pregnant. Brihaspati distributes sweets. But when she is admitted to the hospital, the credit card bill has been paid by Chandra. Then Brahma is called for the judgment. Brahma goes and talks to Tara and asks, whose child is this? She says, this is not Brihaspati's, this is Chandra's. The child born to Brihaspati's wife and Chandra is called Buddha. But Brihaspati, being the great person he is, he says, let him not be called C Buddha. I will give him my initial and he becomes B Buddha. So this comes in Bhagavatam. So if you look at the Varakritis of Dikshitar, he tells, Brihaspate Tarapate. And if you look at Buddhamashrayamyaham, Chandra Tara Sutam, you'll be getting confused. Brihaspati is Taraspati, why Chandra Tara Sutam? Because that is the. That is why Chandra and Brihaspati in one house in a Jatakam will be researched very carefully. It can lead to a yogam called Kemadruma Yogam. If it is Kemadruma Yogam, there are chances for the husband and wife to get separated. That is why in Rama's Jatakam, Vakpata Vinduna Saha, Vakpati and Indu were in the same position. But Rama missed that Kemadruma Yogam by just very minutely he missed. That is why even if he was not permanently separated, every now and then they were separated. So Jyotishya Shastram is a separate science. Now coming to Brihaspati. Yesha viprabalo darkaha sampratyujite vikramaha tesham evapamanena sanubandho vinakshati. Then Indra went and said, Brihaspati, please give me an idea. Brihaspati said, see, unlike you, that Bali has great devotion to his guru Shukra. So it is very tough to defeat him until he goes against his teacher. We cannot do anything to him. Then Indra went and cried to his mother Aditi. Amma, Aditi said, when my son is suffering, I can't take it, Ji, Kashyap Ji. I want a solution for this. Kashyapa said the only way is to venerate the Lord. Only he can give a solution. Yathatani punasadho prapadyeran mamatmajaha tatha videhi kalyanam dhiya kalyana krittama. That is when Kashyapa told Aditi, hey Aditi Devi, to get a good child, first we both have to perform austerities. There is a vratam called Payovratam. Payovratam is done based on milk, the consumption of milk on certain days. So vegans technically can't do this milk. Or they have to depend on peanut milk, cashew milk, almond milk and all of that. Sini valyam mridalipya snayat kroda vidirnaya yadi labhyeta vaistrotam yetam mantra samudaret tvam devyadi varahena rasayaha sthanamichata udhritasi namastubhyam papmanam me pranashaya. So the person who begins this vratam has to smear the body with the mud gotten because of the plowing of the land through the tusks of a wild boar. You have to apply. First you have to bring a wild boar. It has to till that land. That sand has to be applied. So then this was applied throughout the body. And she observed that vratam. Eventually Kashyapa and Aditi got together and she got pregnant. Where did this happen? Evadana? Banks of Narmada, banks of Saraswati. Give few more options. Mississippi. Tell me, someplace. Panniyur. Next. Naperville. Next. Okay. This happened in Bihar. Kashyapa belonged to Kashmiram, Kashyapa Vihara. But at one point in time he had shifted to Bihar and that place was called Siddhashramam. It comes in Balakandam of Ramayanam. Aditi got pregnant there. Eventually she delivered the kid also there in Bihar. This boy was born. How was he born? Here comes the shlokam. Tvam kashype tapasi sannidhattadani praptosi garbhamaditehe pranuto vidhatra prasuta cha prakata vaishnava divyarupam sadvadashi shravana punyadine bhavantam. This boy was born in the star of Shravanam. Shravanam in the Tamil language is called Tiruvonam. So if you take the Tiru out of it, that is why the day is called Vona Tiruvila or Onam. So he was born. But sir, you said he was born in Bihar. Wait, patience. I'll tell you how that Kerala became Bihar. He was born in Bihar. Now, at the right time, when this little boy was born, little child was born, he was too small. See, we have this premature baby, but premature baby will also look fairly good. Too small. Very small. How small was he? For which Alvar says, it seems the dwarfs in the world got together. They had some association. They all got together and visited this boy on his birthday. They looked at this boy and said, he's so small. Kottangai Vamana, dwarfs looked at him and said, he is so small. So he was given the name Upendra, Indra's brother. Upendro Vamanaf Pramshuhu Amogha Shushirujitaha. He was given Upendra. Over a period of time, he was called Vamana. Vamana means short. Vamanam means vomit. Vamana is short. If you use it as a pullingam, Vamanam in Napumsakalingam becomes vomit. That is why in Panchakarma, if you go to an Ayurvedic treatment, they should do Vamanam. Why should I think of the Lord? Vomit, they are telling. पता नहीं है क्या हुआ है, उपन्यासम भी नहीं सुन रही हूँ. So, she was elated. Devas were worshipping her. She's carrying the Lord. Jataram. What kind of a Jataram? The Lord is housed in a Garbhagraham within a Karagraham. He's in a jail within a jail. See, to celebrate Rama Avataram, what do? He was born as the aristocrat's son, Dasharatha's son. They were expecting his arrival. What kind of maternity, what people around to serve. But how do we celebrate? Buttermilk, jaggery water, Kosamari. This boy was born in a jail. 32 kinds of sweets. Whether how they turn out to be is different. See, I don't know. Telugu varu chestara cheedai ani oka bhakshanam. Telisa? Ikkada Telugu variki ఆ భక్షణం తెలియలేదా? సీడై అంత చెప్తారు. తెలుసా అది? అది రెండు రీతిగా ఉంది. ఒకటి సాల్ట్, తర్వాత ఒకటి స్వీట్, మాధుర్యంగా ఉంది. ఒకటి సాల్ట్ సీడై. The greatness of salt shidai is, on Sri Jayanti, if you do, you can also end up having Deepavali that day. It will burst. That salt shidai. If you don't, you try Yogambal, you try Shantapati, whichever you should have that ability to do that Uppu shidai. It will burst. This Vella shidai is of a different category. If you take it out, it will come like Pralayam. Podi. They'll see, Vellashida saapparela, mami podi kuduthirukele, engathu Vellashida podiya eduthu. Or it will come in a complete round, perfect round. But to break that Vellashidai, you need another Vellashidai. You have to soak that in hot water, keep it overnight, and then grind it and then consume it. I'm sure you are all great Bhakshanam makers. Maybe Chicago people have that ability. So that is why Krishna's birth we celebrate like this. At the opportune time. See, generally we say Jayanti means birthday. Ambedkar Jayanti, Vijay Jayanti, Ajit Jayanti. Jayanti means when the four things come together. The Avani Masam should come, Rohini Nakshatram should come. So it was a beautiful period. Now when I'm going to describe Krishna Avataram, all the lights will be switched off. So take your phone, keep the torch on in your phone. Are you all ready with your phone and the torch? So when Krishna is born and that Avatara Ghattam is read, you all have to do Harati with your phone. So you can switch off all the lights. Even I don't need a light. You can take off my lights also. My light also you can take. This light also. All these focus lights you can take and just keep there on. So it was a beautiful night when it was pouring cats and dogs. The clouds had covered that entire scene. Even the rays of the moon couldn't reach. It was pouring outside and she sensed, she had that labor. And Vasudeva was the only one who was assisting that lady at that point in time. While she had that and all the devas had come together. It was at that point in time, you can switch off the focus light on me also. So at that point in time, when it was pouring outside And then there was this sound of conscious everywhere. That beautiful Shankhanadam. That is when the Avatara Ghattam comes, where Krishna when Shukabrahmam says how the Lord was born. Tamadbhutam balakam ambujekshanam chaturbhujam shankhagadar yudharyudam Srivatsalakshmam galashobhikaustubam Pitambaram sandrapayoda saubhagam Maharha vaidurya kirita kundalatvisha Parishvakta sahasra kuntalam Uddhama kanchi gadakankanadibhir virochamanam Vasudeva maikshata Tamadbhutam balakam ambujekshanam chaturbhujam shankhagadar yudharyudam Srivatsalakshmam galashobhikaustubam Pitambaram sandrapayoda saubhagam Maharha vaidurya kirita kundalatvisha Parishvakta sahasra kuntalam Uddhama kanchi gadakankanadibhir virochamanam Vasudeva maikshata. That beautiful, you can put the lights back. It was at that beautiful moment, that moment when Krishna was born in Jyotishya Shastram is called as Jayanti. When all the four, it should be the Avani month, it should be Krishna Ashtami, Krishna Paksham, Ashtami Tithi and Rohini Nakshatram. When all the four come in Jyotishya Shastram, it is called Jayanti. So in the Jayanti time, the little boy was born. And Shukabrahmam says how the boy was. Tam adbhutam balakam ambujekshanam. Tam adbhutam balakam. What kind of an extraordinary child he is. Ambujekshanam chaturbhujam. He has got 4 hands. Shankha gadar yudharyudam. Shankha gadar yudharyudam. He has got Shankham, Chakram, Gada, Padmam. Srivatsalakshmam galashobhikaustubam Pitambaram sandrapayoda saubhagam. He has got a beautiful yellow covering his thighs. Mahara vaidurya kirita kundala tvisha parishvakta sahastra kuntalam Uddhama kanchi gadakankanadibhir virocha manam Vasudeva maikshata. Vasudeva was able to see how beautifully the boy was born. This shlokam, tamadbhutam balakam, my Acharya, Karunakaracharya, the pontiffs of Sri Ahobilamat would give lectures for 4 to 5 hours on one shloka. It has so much of meaning in it. Krishna has to be born. He is born today. The essence of the shloka, his birth, all that will be discussed tomorrow. All Putana Vadam, the most beautiful pastimes will come. Navanita, Chauryam, all that will come tomorrow. So I hope all of you, tomorrow begins the weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So all of you may kindly come on this beautiful session of 3 more days to experience Dashama Skandam and Ekadasha Skandam. These 2 skandams are the essence of Bhagavatam. I am sure all of you will attend and bring more astikas these 2 days for you to experience. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha Swastif Prajabhyav Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobrahmanebhya Shubham Astunityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kayena Vacha Manasendriyaiva Buddhyatmanaba Prakriti Swabhavat Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasme Sriman Narayanayeti Samarpayami Kalyana Rupaya Kalau Jananam Kalyana Datre Karuna Sudhapte Kamvadi Divya Yudha Satkaraya Vatalaya Dhisha Namo Namaste Narayana 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 Narayana. Namaskaram.
I have few announcements to make. Please be seated. Please be seated. So we have a distinguished guest, Hitesh Dhurubai Patel from Babs Temple is here. He would like to honor Sri Dushyanth Ji. We wanted to bring the monk here, but there are some difficulties, so he is coming here to honor.